Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel XAT, turning problems into solutions. This is me Priyasha, and today in this video we'll be talking about some moderate questions related to para completion. The practice PDF is right there in the description box. You can refer to it and practice on your own. And in the description box you will also find the link of my special free class at Unacademy related to para completion. So if you want to join me live and practice more questions on para completion and other verbal topics live, then you can do it absolutely free using the link in the description box. So do check it out as well. And with this, I would also like to tell you about the Unacademy's Champions League, which is for all the CAT 2022 aspirants. If you're planning to give CAT, then nothing can be better than this opportunity where Unacademy is bringing you a complete CAT pattern mock with 66 questions to be answered in 120 minutes, absolutely free. Please avail this offer right now by enrolling using the code Priyasha10 and the link in the description box, because that will not only give you the benefits of an early mock where you will get to know where do you stand without proper preparation and can dedicate your preparation accordingly for the remaining months, but you would also get a detailed test report and an all India rank, and also stand a chance to win up to 100% scholarship and amazing prizes like MacBook Air, iPhone XR and Apple AirPods. So what do you need to do? You need to just go to the description box, click on the link for enrolling into this test absolutely free using my code Priyasha10, because then you would get access to the 4 days workshop which has already been started for the UCL. In this workshop, all the top educators of Unacademy will be taking sectional sessions where they will be guiding you with the tips and the strategies, and the last session will be a session talk with the topper who would share his insights to ace the examination. Well, this examination is going live on 24th of April, 12:30 p.m. live. So please do not miss out on this opportunity and use the link in the description box to enroll into this test for absolutely free. Now, let's get our video started. Hello everyone, welcome to the session 3 on para completion, where we'll be discussing some moderate level questions of para completion, and I'll also be attaching these questions in the practice PDF 1. So if you want, you can check out the description box, download the PDF for future use, and also try it on your own first, get your answers ready, and then you can watch this video and check your answers and compare it with mine and the process which I have taken to get the answers. Well, we'll get started with the first para completion question, which says tax exemptions are certainly subsidy payments to preferred taxpayers. All right. So we understand here that we are somewhere or the other talking about tax exemptions that are essentially the subsidy payments to the preferred taxpayers. They tend to create pressure groups, and especially in the case of indirect taxes, political discretion. They also deprive the government of its well-justified share of taxes, which can be utilized to finance public goods and services. Free marketers may argue that there are very few public goods and the market can provide much of what was earlier considered the state's responsibility, but the change of idea. That's not true for the poorer strata, for which the state must make such goods available from these revenues. So we are here talking about tax exemptions for sure, and we are also getting a theme that some, like at the beginning they are saying that tax exemptions are something which are depriving government of some additional amount of money, but then later in the last two lines we see that there's a change of idea, and the author is stating us about the advantages and also stating us that why is it not applicable to the poorer strata. So what do you think will be a continuation here? Let's check out the options and try to eliminate them quickly. We'll check the first option, which says, and that is the need of the hour, especially in a socio-economic context like ours. What is the need of the hour? The last line was actually talking about the state must make the goods available from these revenues. Which revenues? The tax exemptions they are talking about. But is this the need of the hour right now? Moving it to this or taking it this way will not be correct, because right now we were just trying to figure out a very generalized statement. The top was talking about disadvantages, the bottom is talking about advantages. So you can't say that it is the need of the hour. So that is eliminated. Next comes the second one where it is mentioned, and that is very true in poor country like ours. Very true in poor country like ours. Poorer strata. Does it looks like a correct one? Not really. Why? Because it is restricting your last line or your conclusion line only to the poorer strata, where you're only thinking about the poorer strata, not on a generalized basis. But when you check the third option, and for that, the exemptions must give way to a simpler and more equitable tax regime. This line suits the best here because this line is exactly talking about the subject which I found out in the beginning, as well as it is taking me through a very balanced solution, a balanced conclusion, which is not just thinking about the poorer strata, but is also thinking about the overall population. So that makes it correct. But still, we'll have a quicker look over the fourth and the fifth one. And for that to happen, we must create a strong pressure group. That is just a repetition of the word pressure group here, but that's easier said than done. Okay, so you can't finish your statement with a judgment. You have to support this judgment or statement with a reason, a cause. So that goes away. We are left with one correct answer, that is 3. So if you guys found the first one's the answer to be 3, you got that right. Now we'll quickly move to the second one. In the second question, it says the most dangerous flaw in intuition is our deep-seated need to see the patterns. The mind's well-documented facility for pattern recognition seems to lie at the core of the intuition. It's how the brain synthesizes information from the past and uses it to understand the present and anticipate the future. So here the subject is intuition, and how our brain is using the information of the past to depict or predict the future. This is all about the passage, and what should be the perfect ending line here on the passage. We'll try to figure out the options first because that will help me for option elimination. So the problem is that it happens so fast that we do not even come to perceive it's actually happening. It's completely OOS, that is out of the scope, or you can call it as irrelevant, because so far we were talking about how intuition is being done by the brain, and then suddenly moving to its speed is nowhere related. Second option says the problem is that such pattern seeking behavior is common to all the humans, and thus it does not afford any special advantage to anyone. Well, this is also irrelevant to us because we are not comparing this intuition as a feature in humans or other organisms or things like that. We were just talking about the process. We cannot jump to a different strata right now. But if I check the other option, option C or 3, the problem is that our unconscious desire is to identify the patterns is so strong that we routinely perceive the patterns where none exist, where this can be in complete logical connection with the question or the paragraph, because earlier it was talking about the brain synthesizing the information, and before this line we were talking about how our brain seeks to find patterns everywhere. And then we will conclude our paragraph with stating that this is good, but the problem with this process is that in this process we get so much carried away, or identifying pattern is so strong that we are routinely doing it in every place even if there exists no pattern. And that can be a perfect conclusion of summing up this dangerous flaw in institution. Dangerous flaw in institution is the third sentence जिसके बारे में हमने पैराग्राफ शुरू किया था, is actually what is mentioned here in the statement number 3. So that's why it is actually the correct answer according to me. But I'll quickly have a look over the fourth and the fifth one. The problem is that so few of us appreciate this kind of mental processing, very generalized. People is the problem is that we are born with this kind of special cognitive ability, not really correct and also very generalized. So we will not take this, and we will take the answer as 3. So my correct answer for the second para completion question is also the third statement. Now moving to the last one quickly, here comes the last one. The ties between husband and wife and the emotional fault lines that can break them apart have been essayed in recent years with unprecedented precision. Perhaps the biggest breakthrough in understanding what holds a marriage together or tears it apart has come from the use of sophisticated physiological measures that allow the moment-to-moment tracking of the emotional nuances of a couple's encounter. Scientists are now able to detect a husband's emotion, otherwise invisible adrenaline surges and jumps in blood pressure, and to observe fleeting but telling micro emotions as they fleet across a wife's face. So this paragraph is actually talking about how studies are getting into precision of finding out what is the real emotional fault line between a husband and a wife's relationship. So when we are talking about this particular theme in this paragraph, my answer option should be relatively same, right? So we'll try to figure out if there is no reiteration of the same idea. Like I'm saying this because I can see it in the first two options. So tomorrow it may be possible to have a love meter which analyzes the threadbare all the emotions to have an exact idea of what the other person feels for you. Now, this looks like very convenient to me, but the problem with option number one is that it is just the reiteration of what's mentioned at the top. Just because they haven't used the word love meter doesn't mean that it's not the same idea. At the top, they are actually talking about this kind of a device only, or this kind of a innovation only, where they are able to understand the emotions and the changes in the emotions using the adrenal surges and the jumps in the blood pressure easily. So just giving it a name in the conclusion statement as love meter will not be convenient for us to take up as a conclusion. So these are little very close options, guys. That's why I'm calling it as a moderate set of questions, where you will find every option very close, or you may jump into the one which looks better to you, but you have to analyze why am I eliminating these options. So love meter is just the reiteration of what we learned, so it's not correct. Second one says physiologically, it may be a unique achievement to have all the emotions neatly mapped out on a graph as if they were some mathematical equation picturized on a piece of paper. But we are doing the same thing here. So that's why this is also reiteration and not my correct concluding statement. Now let's read the third one. Third one says, finally, you may see cases wherein a machine is sued for spoiling a relationship or cementing it. Well, for the third one, we are actually calling it to be relevant, irrelevant. The reason for that being is that so far we are talking about a machine which will help us to understand the different types of emotional changes going through a person's body, and that will never ever lead to breaking or spoiling of relationship, or even if it may leads to, it's never mentioned in the paragraph. Remember, we are talking about connecting a paragraph here, not the entire passage. So paragraph is not talking about any negative aspects of the machine, so obviously third one is the irrelevant option. Now we'll finally move to the fourth one, which says scientifically it represents a big jump in our search of a fuller understanding of how physiological variables mirror what happens in one's mind. Aha, finally. Now why do you think I actually like this option? I like this option because if you remember, the theme of the paragraph was about these studies which are now getting more precise. The very first line, if you remember here in this paragraph, was that, just check this, unprecedented precision. So they are talking about these studies, how this study is actually getting better and better, and they are getting better results. So we can conclude it by saying that we are actually having a big jump in our search for a fuller understanding. So this looks to me as the best answer till so far. We'll just check it with the fifth one and we'll conclude our answer. The wife or the husband's facial expressions may reveal the whole story in terms of measurable parameters. Well, this is distorting the information and at the same time very restrictive to just the facial expressions. So very narrow, you can say, and that's why it's not the correct answer. So we will stick to our correct answer as statement number 4. So statement number 4 perfectly sums up the entire idea of this paragraph, where we are actually talking about that how this emotional fault lines has been essayed in the recent years with unprecedented precision. And that was all for this video, guys. We did 3 questions which were of moderate difficulty level and were really having some close options. The practice PDF is right there in the description box, so if you want to download it and keep it for future reference, you can do so as well. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like this video, then please like it, share with more and more people, and if you're new to this channel, then please subscribe to the channel as well. I'll be up with more such videos. Till then, please take care of yourself.